A moment while I make sure everything is running here. So let me just make sure that our Facebook page is up. So bear with me here just a moment while I check that. So thanks for sticking with me here today while I make sure that we're up. I don't see us quite up on on our Facebook page. So bear with me here while this goes on. And I want to make sure it's up. So I want everybody to hold just real quick, and let's make sure that's running. So if you guys can see me on the Facebook, let me know. I don't see it going yet. So bear with me here just a second. I'm going to pause this for just a moment. I'll be right. Okay, everybody, I think I am running here, so let's just make sure. If you guys can hear me, just let me know that you can, and then we'll get this show on the road. It looks like the Facebook feed caught this time, so that's always a good thing. Great, Janice, you can hear me over on YouTube. Fantastic. And let me make sure that everybody over on Bead Shop over on YouTube can, also on Facebook can hear me. There we go. I just got the notification, so that's a good thing. I think we are good to go on there. Alrighty, fantastic, you guys. Sorry, sometimes Facebook doesn't want to catch, so we have to, I really have to make sure that that gets caught. Alrighty, well, good. Almost the end of October here, and today is going to be a fun broadcast, but aren't they all, I must say. So today we're going to do 3 different fast earring designs. You know, November is just like in 2 days, right? And so holiday gifts are coming down the pike, right? So these are great. It might be a little bit of a review with things touched on that I've done before, but I think it all bears repeating. And plus, I wanted to use our gemstones because our gemstones are so delicious. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I wanted to give a big hello. It looks like we've got some new viewers here, which is great to have you guys. I will say that you can follow us all on our social, you guys. You can find us at beadshop.com, almost everywhere on here on Facebook, on Insta, and of course on our YouTube channel. We'd love it if you give our YouTube channel a follow. That way you'll be notified every time we go live, which is great. Also, we'd love to see you over on our Facebook group called The Bead Table. And The Bead Table is a fun place where bead shop customers and friends and all kinds of good stuff like that, right? So they are, we have a great group, almost 6,000 strong over there, and there's wonderful ideas. I know many of you are Bead Table members already, but it is great to have you over there. I also wanted to mention, now that I have your attention, to make sure, and when you give that thumbs up and when you give those follows and shares, it really does make a difference for people to find us. So we really, really appreciate it there. So that's what I've got. Also, next week, and I'm going to show you a preview of what we've got next week. I'll do that at the end of the broadcast. Brittany has a wonderful wrap for you, and the wrap bracelet it's really beautiful. I picked out the colorway, but the design is all Brittany. It's really gorgeous, and I think you're going to love it. We have a new launch coming from Tiara Cast on Tuesday, so a lot of those components are used in this wrap bracelet, which is great. And then we're going to be together on a broadcast for you on Wednesday. So that's happening, and then next week also there isn't going to be any free tip Friday. I am taking a little bit of a vacation, but I will be here on Saturday live. We are participating in, it's not this Saturday, it's next Saturday, November 7th. We are participating in the Great Bead Extravaganza. And the Great Bead Extravaganza, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a weekend of broadcasts that happen all on the Great Bead Extravaganza Facebook page. And so the way that's going to work, you can join the Facebook page. We'd love to have you over there. And it's a group of all the bead creatives that do live broadcasts. There's me, there's Sarah Ayler from Softlex, Andrew Thornton from Allegory Gallery. This was kind of their brainchild, so it was really cool to be invited. Our friends from Vintage, from Tiara Cast, our buddy Candy Cooper. There's so many are over there, and it's all weekend. So if you go and you, there's a listing on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday who's showing and when there's a schedule up there. So I'm going to be on Saturday. All the times are in Pacific time. So I'm going to be on Saturday at noon Pacific time. And we're also going to broadcast my segment only, not only in that group, but I'm going to simulcast it at the same time to the Bead Shop live or the Bead Shop regular page. So those of you who are watching on Facebook, you'll be able to see it on this page where you normally view us. Unfortunately, it's not going to be streaming live on YouTube, but we'll upload my segment later on YouTube so you can see it there after the fact. But if you do Facebook and you'd like to join us, it's going to be really, really fun. So my mom and I are going to take a moment out of our vacation and broadcast to you live next week. So it's going to be fun. And we're going to do today, a little bit later, we're doing an introduction of who everybody is, everybody who's participating. That's actually today at 1 o'clock Pacific time. So we're doing them in alphabetical order. So I think only Andrew is in front of me. So I got to hustle home after this. Right, and get on the live broadcast there. So you'll be able to get an introduction of everybody who's going to be on. So it's going to be really fun. So that's our story. We're sticking to it, and let's take a look at what we're going to make today. So just as a reminder, we've got Janice moderating over on our YouTube page, and Drea is over on our Bead Shop Facebook page. She's populating a list over on our website exactly of what I'm using. Drea is here, but our Gita is not. Gita's taking a Friday night in Denmark off. She's usually our moderator over there, so she's not there today. But let's take a look, you guys, at what we've got. Okay, so I'm going to move this over. I grabbed some really of our really beautiful gemstones, right? Because I thought, with the holidays coming up, gemstones and sparkle is what it's all about. Even if we are responsibly distancing from the holidays this year, maybe they're not the jolliest of holidays that we might have. But we are going to hunker down and, of course, do the best that we can. And that also means putting on a fabulous piece of jewelry to brighten your spirit. So these earrings will be great as gifts. They'll also be great to adorn you throughout these winter months, okay? But I know many of you watch us in Australia from the Southern Hemisphere, so you guys are just going to be going into into your spring. You're in your spring and summer days. So you always have warm Christmas holidays, but it's going to be a little chilly up here in the northern hemisphere, that's for sure. So I wanted to share these with you because I feel like sometimes our gemstones don't get the love that they want or that they should warrant. And so we have them on our website on beadshop.com under the gemstones category. And these are a 3 to 4 millimeter rondelle. These are a 4 millimeter rondelle here. They're really great to string with to just make yourself a simple necklace. This is black spinel, which is really, or no, I think this is black garnet actually, is what this is. Double check for me, JP. I know she'll put it in the chat there. It's really super flashy and beautiful. This is the peach moonstone. We've got some of the hematite in bronze and in the gold. And then we've got a clear quartz, iolite, pyrite, which is one of my big faves. And then here is the labradorite, all beautiful, right? Black garnet. Thanks, JP. That's what I thought. Sometimes I get those two confused. And then, of course, we've got our briolettes. And again, our briolettes, the gemstone briolettes, the quality on these beauties is gorge. So we've been using our stone vendors for, since we were brick and mortar. So we have a really great relationship with them, and the quality, you can rest assured, are extremely, extremely high. I love them. And then we've also added, a couple months ago, whenever we added them, these gemstone rondelles that are a little bit larger than these on the strands, right? So it's gorgeous. These are a little bit of a larger one, a 7 millimeter here, and they're just, the quality, again, so clear and beautiful. Really, really good. I love how over here on the Facebook feed, we've got some Italian going on. I love that. Mimi Hill, I know you speak a little bit of Italian, Mimi, so thanks you guys for doing a little bit of translation. I love it because we are a worldwide international community, which makes me so happy. And believe me, we are. I know that some of you are like, well, since you're an international community, when are you going to ship internationally again? So we hope, you guys, that the postal situation will even out here in the U.S. and we will have some reliable ways to get our products to you overseas. We're still being advised that it's a little dicey right now, but we are hopeful that things are going to even out soon. So Drea also put we did a collection that we're calling Treasures, and it's the Treasure Collection, and the Treasure Collection has all of this stuff in here. Okay, so it's really beautiful. I know I should know my Italian. My grandparents sometimes spoke Italian at home when they didn't want me to know what I was talking about, because half of my heritage is Italiano, but my Italian is very poor. So it's the opposite of molto bene. So there you go. That's all I've got. But anyway, so these are these. But today, what I'm going to be working with, now I'm going to move these around, and I'm going to jump in with some chain, right? You know how I love to like break up chain, right? Well, this is a chain that we don't work with much. It's called the Troika chain, and it has kind of a Rollo chain here divided by some really great components that we can use in earrings. Okay, and I also pulled this chain, the Trio. Okay, this one. I'm getting a little bit tighter. Both of these are perfect for earrings because they're kind of like two chains in one, right? This one is three, right? Because it's got that nice big oval. And then it's got kind of that flat, more of a diamond-shaped oval, and then it's got this Rollo. The Trio, what I love about this is is it has these 3 little barrels here, and it makes a very delicate earring. So I'm going to show you that. Then we've got some components, and I'm working all in copper today, but all of these come in all of the different flavors. Okay, so I've got those drops. I've got these hoops. Mimi, I'm so impressed by your Italian. I am ashamed of my lack of Italian. There we go. Whoops, you guys can't see those. Let me widen those up a little bit. There we go. Okay. These are our hammered teardrops and hammered hoops. And then these are just our round hoops and teardrop hoops here. These two here are about an 18 gauge wire-ish, right? And then these are hammered and flat, the Tierra Cast ones, and you've seen me work with these before. So they're really gorgeous. And you can use a variety of ear wires. I just grabbed a bag of these guys, since they come 3 pair to a bag, and it's the regular vintage lever back. Okay, so that's it. I also grabbed, I was going to work with, since they're kind of, you know, happy colors, and I think we all want some happy colors in our lives right now. This is the copper, natural copper in turquoise, briolette, which is just gorgeous. I love it. And of course the briolette in a carnelian. So it's kind of like a sunset, kind of, I don't know, Sedona feeling to it. And then I pulled an 11-aught, and the 11-aught is 11-457, the bronze. And so this, I think, makes kind of an interesting palette that we're going to work from. And then I'm going to use some wire. I'm going to use 24 gauge, and I'm going to use it in bare copper here from Parawire. So I wanted this, I could have used the antique, but I felt the antique was actually a little dark for this, right? And I wanted to, I just like the way this looked with it. Okay, so that's what I've used. Okay, so I'm going to start out by making the fastest earring you've ever seen. And you can do it with this troika chain or this trio chain. And I'm gonna, my wire working and stuff, you guys, is gonna go a little bit fast today because I need as much time as possible to complete all 3 of these kind of things for you, right? So we do have skill builders over on beadshop.com that show you how to do this briolette wrap, how to do a basic wire wrap, all of those. And the skill builders really delve into, you know, into what we've got going on here skill-wise. So I'm going to start with one of these brios. I'm going to get my 24 gauge wire, and I'm going to clear my space a little bit. I'm going to move this over a little bit, and I'm going to, let me zoom in just a bit so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. 24 gauge, what I always do is I double check the brio to make sure it fits. Okay, now the briolette, especially the transparent ones, we get these and they're very they've been drilled to accommodate the 24 gauge wire. But did you see how when I went and grabbed this green amethyst, how when I kind of put it through, I was encountering, there we go, it goes through like that. Okay, sometimes the way that these have been drilled, they're drilled from one side and then the other sometimes. So sometimes the hole either might taper on one end or taper in the middle. So you always want to double check. You could always go down to a 26 gauge for this if you wanted to. But most of these and most of the rondelles here fit on that 24 gauge wire. If you're wrapping these guys, the finer ones that come on the strand, I would go down to 26 gauge for these. Okay? So I'm going to cut, I don't know, 3, maybe 4 to 5 inches of wire maybe here. I'm going to lop it off, and I'm going to come in, put that through, go about 2/3 to about 1/3 of wire, and I'm going to cross this wire on top of the brio. Now, you don't want this to be too tight, right? You want it to visually look nice and firm, but if you push the wire, it's not like using thread, right, you guys? You push the wire down and your briolette's going to crack. That hole will crack. So you want to make sure that you have movement here. If it's too tight, your briolette is not going to survive to see another sunrise, okay? So after I make this X, you can see I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to come in with the tips of my plier right at that X, and I'm going to bend. I'm going to close them, okay? Now, what I do when that's closed, it gives me kind of a little automatic kind of sizing there, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I just wrap it as if it were a wire wrap. I'm going to close my pliers over those two. I'm going to, with my long wire here, I'm going to bend it over the top of my plier. I'm going to insert my round nose here like this. I'm going to come up and over the top, down and underneath, and I've got my loop, okay? Now I am ready to attach this, okay? So let's just see, at the end of this troika, we have this nice little component. So the cool thing about these chains, these larger ones, is that these jump rings are just jump rings. They're not soldered. These components here are die cut, right? They're die cut out of a flat sheet of metal. So you're in good shape there. You don't have to worry. So I do have like these jump rings that I could attach this with. But what I'm going to do is instead, I'm going to attach this wire wrapped piece right to this component, okay? I'm going to come in, I'm going to hang on to it with my plier, and now with my hands or with the tool, I'm just going to wrap one little wrap below the other. Can you see that? I'm keeping the tension on this wire around and around and around, okay? And then I'm going to clip. I could continue to wrap if I wanted to cover up that little section of open wire. I could definitely do that. Sometimes I like to do that just to give it a little bit of added flair. Then here on the end, I'll use my flat nose. I'll just push it along the back and tuck it in. This one here, this long one, I'll pull down so it kind of makes a right angle bend up against that wrap, and I'll clip it fairly close, okay? You can see just a tiny, tiny little bit of wire. Maybe I'll clip it once more, but only clip the wire there, okay? So now we have, I mean, how fast was that? You can do that present and get it in the mail in under an hour, right? So I'm going to open up this finding, and here in the pardon me, this lever back, I open it very carefully. It's kind of hard for you to see, but that little opening opens, okay? You don't want to open and close it too much because it's fragile, but you can grab it, get your component on there, let gravity kind of pull it away from you, and close it up. Okay, so that's it. That's all she wrote. Really, really easy. Now we can do the same thing with this troika wire. Okay, but the troika has, and I'm going to clip it here, I think. The troika has super tiny holes, right? So I'm going to cut it like here. What I do with this, and these loops have been soldered. What I do is I get my awl in that top chain link, Then I push it down a little bit with my fingers or with my plier, and I rotate that all just a little bit, and I open that loop up so the wire will go in nicely. Okay? So I'm going to do that same thing. I'll get another piece of wire. I'll get that briolet. I'm going to do this at Kate speed now. Up and over, I'm going to make this loop a little bit smaller because that chain is a little smaller. So visually we don't want it too big. Sorry, I'm trying to keep my hands, that's why I have my velvet pad here, so I keep my hands in the right position, but sometimes when I go fast, I'm not always successful. And I'm just going to come in, pull that down, clip it away, center that loop up, and clip. Now, I was so excited, what did I do? I closed that. Big sigh. I could rewrap it, but let's see if this works. Bear with me here one moment. Now I don't have them in the right color, so you're just going to have to bear with me. But we do have, it'll be easier for you to see anyway on camera. We do have these little 3mm jump rings that you could use to attach, and that would fit. I want to see if our 4mm ovals will fit, which I think is a better choice because these are so small that brio is going to come off. So let me just see if this will fit. That 4mm. It's a little small. It's a little small. Okay. So let's just go ahead. I want to show you, and it's, you know, it's a fortunate thing. I'll show you. I'm going to clip, and you can see how I actually take the wire out of a briolet. I need to be really careful. See that little tip, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so you can see it. It's kind of hard for you to see. There's a little tip of wire right here that's kind of bent, so if I pull it out, it's going to lodge itself into that hole. So I'm really going to push it forward. I'm going to clip it, holding my finger over the top so it doesn't fly up into my head, and then see how it just easily pulls out like that. If you have your wire bent at all and you pull it, it's going to get stuck in that hole. Okay, so let's just, I still have another piece of wire. No big deal. Again, going so fast, I was so excited to have it done. So let's get up there, do that X, bend it at a right angle, make that loop. Now, before I wire wrap that loop, right, I bring it around like so. Now I'm going to put it in that loop. Now this will be an all-encompassing loop, so I won't have to worry about pulling it out. Okay? So I'm going to hold it all. Hold it all together very carefully in my pliers. And wire wrap it. Okay? Clip clip away the extra, pull that one down, clip it away, push that little loop in, push that back, and we've got this, okay? And so we've got two of these little guys here. And then I would connect using that 3mm jump ring. I'd go ahead and connect that to my ear wire that way. Okay? So let's get a little looser with what we're doing. All right? I'm going to come in, so we've done those chains. I'm going to move that guy over. Let's clear our spot here. Now we're going to get a little more freeform, okay? And this is where these seed beads and stuff come in. Now I've done this before when we were doing these during deep quarantine. I think I did it back in March, though time is flying, right? Time just has no meaning right now. It's crazy. I'm cutting, I don't know, about 1 foot of the 24 gauge. And I'm going to start by putting this through, making just a short wrap on the top, actually. And I'm just going to wrap this short wire around the long wire. Okay? Like that. Now, these are kind of going to be what I call a freeform or a tornado earring. You've seen me do these before. So I'm going to add like a little base to this, and I'm going to use the 11/0 for this, but you could use anything. These are going to be covered up, so I don't know how many. This will keep my center, like the center pole of this earring, kind of rigid. This will give me a lot of room to play around. Okay, so let me bend. Now I'm going to make the loop for the top. Bend, just like you do a regular wire wrap, right? Up and over, down and under. And I'm going to wrap just a few here, like that, right? Get it kind of ready. Now, I'm just going to do some freeform wrapping. See, I haven't even, I don't know, I'm not even planning this. I kind of want to remember what I'm doing because, and if I'm doing a second earring, which I will, maybe I would get it to this point, right, before I make the second one, so you know that the base and everything is about the same size. So now I'm just going to get a few seed beads. I'm going to put those on. And as I wrap, I hope you guys can see this, I'm just going to kind of put them in place there. Right? That's it. And then maybe I'll hold that loop, wrap a little bit more. And don't worry, if you run out of wire, we're going to add some. I know I'm going to run out of wire anyway, so it doesn't matter. I don't know, maybe I'll put 3 more on. 1, 2, and 3. Again, these are 11/0. Distribute them out a little bit as you're wrapping. 1 of those, 2 of those. I think my third one fell off, so I'll put it back on. Maybe it's time for a rondelle. I know it looks kind of big, but bear with me here just a second, okay? So I'm going to kind of push that into place. I'm going to get another one. And maybe a third one here. Just go with me. It looks a little bit like the dog's breakfast right now, but just trust me. Trust me. I'm going to get rid of this wire by wrapping it all around. And we're going to get some more. So we've got that so far. Looks a little top heavy with 3. You know what I'm going to do? You know me, I like to design on the fly. I'm going to take this one off. And it makes no difference, right? Don't pull it. You want to make sure and cut that little bit of wire that's crooked off so that this comes right up. And I really love how this one is peeking out the side. I don't love that one up there either. So I'm going to just clip them. I know I've got ends here, but that's all right. It's the beauty of wire. It can always be wrapped and tucked. So we're going to clip this off, push that in. All right. I'm going to get my pliers back and I'm going to push these little ends in. And the beauty of doing this in copper wire is that you can mock this up and see if it works for you. And then, you know, redo it again, right? Okay, so I'm going to come in. And yeah, see how that little one that is tucked in there? That looks much better. The 3 was ridiculous. So, I'm going to cut another 12-inch piece of wire. And I'm going to come in just down here. This looks like a good space for it. So I'm going to kind of wrap it around. Again, sorry, they're doing road work outside. I hope that it's not too distracting from this broadcast. Too noisy about that. So there we go. Wrap and wrap and wrap. And now I'm going to put on some of these 11/0. And I'm going to put all of these because I want to distribute them around. And this makes for, like, you could use, I don't know, anything. I'm kind of looking around to see if I have anything here on my desk. You could use some of the smaller rondelles, gemstone rondelles for these. And see, as the wire comes around, I'm just depositing these seed beads wherever I like them. And I'm also doing a little bit of kind of caging of that rondelle as well. This looks like it needs a few more seed beads on that side. Just fill it up. You can't go wrong with these. Okay, like this. Let's get a few more in the back. But doing this with 26 gauge with some of our smaller gemstone rondelles, the 3mm floated in there, right? It would look really good, especially these guys. I think you could do that kind of, that hematite would look really good in here. There you go. I kind of like that little line. Here's kind of a good space to put some more wire in between there. I don't want it to be too off kilter, but I do want it to have a little bit of vim, right? And I'm feeling it all the time to make sure that those ones that I cut away, there we go, don't have a harsh little place, you know, to hit you. So here, right around, and I'm going to get a little tighter so you can see this. Right around here would be a great place to add a little line of beads. And remember, these earrings are going to be sisters. They're not going to be twins. Okay, so set your mind to that right now and don't worry about it. They're going to be similar in feel and in scope and in size, but don't worry about getting everything exactly the same. I like how that line of unbroken beads looks. Maybe I want 3. And then I'm going to bring these around, and I have just enough a tiny just bit of wire where I'm going to come in and wrap it and tuck it around. And see how I'm using my bent chain nose for this? That helps me just get that little piece of wire exactly in where I need it. If I'd only cut that wire like a 1/4 of an inch longer, but then I'm going to pass this one over, bring it to the back, and again I'll tuck this in. And then we'll take a look at it. If you like using oxidized wire, this bare copper, if you're using like liver of sulfur, which we carry, or if you're using any other darkening agent, right? I would pre-oxidize the wire before you used it to wrap, okay? Pre-oxidize, then use a pro polish pad to shine it up a little bit, just a little, leaving some of the oxidation on. And then I would use it like this, okay? So I'll clip that, push that in so it's nice and tight. And then you can see, I like that in there. Maybe tighten a little bit with the tips of my plier. Grab that wire, give it a twist, so it kind of brings everything in. Look at that little bundle of joy, right? Isn't that, I think it's gorge. The seed beads I'm using, this is the 11-457. That's what this is. And then just go ahead and open this up, put her on, close her up. That's earring number 2. Look at that. I love the asymmetry of this piece. You can make the other one that has the brio here and then the rondelle kind of coming out on this side, and they're gorge. Ready for the, what do I want to say, the gallery, right? They're really, I think they're gorgeous. And I love these little dark beads in here, but use whatever works for you, right? It's all good. So I'm going to move these over. So we've got this guy, we've got this guy, and we got this one over here. Okay, so far. Let me move them over. But these are really just with chains. So that's one style. This is the second style. Now, I have these hoops here. You could do the same thing with this one, this round one, this one. You could use our plain rings that we have, our medium hoops, mini hoops, all of those. That will all work. This again is very similar to kind of this tornado, but it's a little different. I'm going to cut another foot. Maybe this is almost 18 inches of wire, actually. And I'm going to come in, and I'm not going to even plan. I'm just going to wrap it. I'm going to leave myself a little bit of wire here. Let me zoom out a little bit here. And I'm just going to wrap them around a little bit. Don't worry about it too much. These would be great also with 26, or you can mix your gauges too if you want, right? Then get some, let me get some of these. I don't know, a few. Come on down. There we go. Come in. And just kind of continue to bring your wire around the edge. This is kind of a ridiculously long piece of wire. Cut a shorter piece of wire if that works for you. It's like cutting a super long piece of thread for your seed bead stitches, right? Like, listen to Emily, and don't manhandle this too much. I'm getting a little crazy here. There we go. Slow your roll, Richburg. There we go. That's better. I get super excited by it though, right? That it's coming together. So I'm going to stop a second here and you'll be able to see that little cluster right here. And then I'll get one of these carnelian briolet or carnelian rondelles, bring it around. Bring it around. And also, if you have trouble hanging on to it, you can hold it in your nylon jaw plier. Might help you hang on to it a bit better. I'm going to go a little bit with heavy wrapping around this one to kind of cage it in. Go over it and under it. These you kind of have to trust will come out okay, and they will. You just have to get your wire into the right plane. And don't use wire that's too heavy. 22 is too heavy for this. 24 is good. 26 would also be good. You could even use 28. We carry 28 gauge, especially if you're using smaller ones, smaller stones. Let me get some beads going on up in here. See, I've got that little kink in the wire there. Let's just use our nylon jaw straightener to get that out. I see Brittany's arrived. That's awesome, Britt. We're gonna be on together on Wednesday. I can't wait. There we go. Put these guys on. And let's just keep embellishing whatever works for you. I'm going to put a couple of beads like across here. Poke that wire through. Land another couple of beads on the wire. Bring it through. And now I'll go below and bring it through. Like that. Okay. And I'll just continue along my hoop. I should have picked a smaller one though. This big one is going to take a lot of wrapping. But I'll continue along and I'll show you the one that I'm wearing in my ears actually, because it's a very similar look. And you'll get some good ideas from it, I think. So here's this guy. Now let's say that you wanted, I'm going to push that down. We also don't have to embellish this whole thing. A kernel of an idea is showing up. So let me finish off this wire, because that wire I'm done with. And I'm just going to do some simple wraps to bring it up. Can you see what I'm doing there? Bringing that sucker around. Okay. Then now I've got this. I can come across with my wire. I want to make sure it's kind of in the right plane here. I like the way that looks. I'll come in with some seed beads. Let's see how far across these three make it. Maybe I'll do one more. Then this brio. Then 3 or 4 more seed beads. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's see how they look. Yep, just 3. And then I'm going to anchor it. Okay, that's about 4 wraps. Now I can encrust, because I want this to kind of go at an angle. And I'm going to lay it down so you guys can see it. What I'm going to do is another one of these can maybe go on that side. Okay, wrap, 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 wrap. So this side up here is encrusted, this side down here is encrusted, and we've got some plain wire still showing. I may go back through with another piece of wire and wire wrap this too over the top, and I actually might use 26 gauge for that and mix some wire. Okay, I want to show you because we're nearing the end of our time, but I wanted to show you guys this one too. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on it so you guys can see that. This is one I did on a Free Tip Friday a while back, and this has a thinner gauge. This might even be 28 gauge that I have here, right? And so you can see I use the round garnet beads, the 28 gauge, and just a plain round loop. So it's really similar in fashion, okay? So, but again, I think this is kind of a cool way to kind of have a little bit of asymmetry to your piece. Let me see if I can add just a few so it doesn't look quite so sad and bare. We've got a few minutes, so I want to do that. But grabbing some wire, some foundation pieces, some armatures, and just these are just 3 different beads, right? You don't have to have a whole host of things. You can even kind of scrape the bottom of your bead box. This is great for like 1s and 2s of things that you might have, right? To kind of get in there and use up some of those. It's a good kind of kitchen sink kind of, you know, like we like to say. You put everything in there. So here, see, I put a little bit there. And now I'm going to rewrap it up to kind of establish a little place. And we'll go ahead and we'll put that carnelian rondelle right in there. Let me grab one. There we go. I don't want these to touch really, so I'm going to put it down a little further like that. Now when I add the 28 gauge, oh, I love that. Mira's saying she's making along with me from her bead soup. I love that story. That's awesome. We all have bead soup, right? We all have a group of bead, a little too buoyant, and the work hardening as you play with it might stiffen it so that it might snap. Okay, but all of our parawire is dead soft, not half hard, including the ones that are the like the antique copper, etc. This copper though is the bare copper, which is my hands down favorite. It has not been sealed, so you can antique it. Okay, so here's this. Now I've got, I don't know, some left, a little bit. I'm going to straighten it out. Let's see if I can just wrap it around that center. Ideally, I might want to do this with a gauge smaller, but maybe not. It's actually maybe looking okay. I don't want it to look just okay though, I want it to look amazing. So we'll see. If, when you're getting towards the end of the wire, see how it's kind of lumpy? Just get that wire straightening plier, that nylon jaw tool, and straighten it out. That action does stiffen your wire just a bit, but not so much as you'd notice. It's okay. Almost there. I want to use up every little bit of this wire since I have it. So when you do this, just make note of how much wire you've cut. That might help you distribute it kind of evenly about. But again, we're making sister earrings, not twins, so it'll be okay. Almost there. I want to get a little more wire around to the briolette, so it doesn't just look like it has one little strand there, right? So it looks a little more substantial to the eye. Straighten again. And you want to be kind of careful. I'm being a little cavalier here, but I want to make sure that I'm not screwing with this brio too much by pushing the wire up against it and stuff, because I don't want to break it. And these are delicate, so I'm maybe not having the lightest touch as I should. I do want to show you, let me zoom in here a little bit so you can see this. I'm going to switch pliers now to my bent chain nose, and I'm going to carefully place my final wraps exactly where I want them, because this is it. I mean, I could always add more wire, but there we go. Bring it around and tighten it down. There we go. I'm glad I finished that up so it doesn't look quite so sad. So let's line them up. Straighten this side out if it got a little off kilter. This one will also have, open that up, open it up and wide enough so it will go on this ear wire. If it's not quite, yeah, that fits on there just fine. Okay, let's get those other ones. That one there. I've been tossing these around, so there we go. There's our trio. There's three. I'm calling these three because those are both with chain. All right, I'll zoom in just a little bit so you guys can see those a little bit closer. And I'll be taking a photo of these. Yeah, and this would be nice as a pendant, right? You could just do the single here. What I might do here as well, and you can decide what works, but I could do just a plain wrap like this around here if you didn't want to see the bare wire, or you could do just kind of a simple wrap that just had kind of the seed beads going around it too. So, you know, these are the ultimate in figuring out what looks right for you, kind of an earring. Okay, so that's it. That's all she wrote. Drea has created a page for you guys, so you'll see this over on beadshop.com, where you can find the information on the project and products from today's broadcast. You'll find it all on our website. These videos stay archived. They'll stay archived forever, right up on our YouTube channel. It's the best place to watch them. I've got a couple of different playlists. One is Free Tip Friday for these Free Tip Friday videos, and we have one for our Wednesday broadcast, our Bead Shop Live video. And we've got all kinds of other great playlists on there as well. You want to make sure to join our newsletter if you haven't already. It's the way that we communicate with you and the way that you hear about our sales and our special mixes, new products, all kinds of cool stuff like that. So I want to show you guys before we part ways. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of what's coming up next Wednesday with Brittany. So here, I pulled the product for Britt and I said, Brittany, put your special touch on it. One of the things that we're debuting, and you can see here, this is a ladder in or a loomed in component part. It's going to debut on our website on Tuesday. Okay, so Tuesday, November 3rd, it'll debut. And you can see Brittany has wire wrapped some little dangles to that component part, and she's used them in several different places on this wrap. She's also laddered with quarter tilers here. We've got a melon, we've got some 8/0s, but you can see she's able to incorporate dangles throughout this piece using this little connector. She's also added some wire work here on this one, and then we finished it off with a button. So it's a gorgeous piece. She's done a little bit of her signature Bollywood style right here. So it's just, I think it's really super fun, and she's going to teach us some of the ins and outs, some things that she learned when she was making this piece that she'll share with you. But it'll be time for a beautiful fall colored inspired wrap bracelet from Brittany. Yeah, it's really great. I think it's going to be super fun. So that's what's shaken, you guys. That's it here for Free Tip Friday on October 30th. Tomorrow is Halloween here, and a little bit of a social distanced Halloween, but I hope that everyone has a safe and good day. Let me put my earring back on because I'm lopsided now. I need to put this one over here. And so I want you guys to remember, I'll be back on Wednesday, November 3rd with Brittany at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. Hang in there, you guys. Wash your hands. Wear those masks. Mask up, kids. And don't forget to cast your ballot. Our big election day is coming up next week, so vote early. Make sure and get that ballot in. And I will see all y'all on Wednesday with Brittany. I can't wait. All right, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe.